Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Be Well, Be Keto. And today we have an amazing guest. Her name is Heather Huff. She is the first of her name, Queen of Kings, Breaker of Rules, Lioness of God, and the Mother of Ideas. From Texas, let's go and say hi to Heather.
Welcome to the Be Well, Be Keto podcast, where we showcase ordinary people who have achieved extraordinary results. Your host is the high energy girl, Tracy Gluhite.
Give a woman a fish, feed her for a day. Teach a woman to fish, feed her for a lifetime. Teach a woman to teach a woman to fish, end world hunger. Have you ever wanted to help people improve their health journey? Have you thought about coaching people with a keto lifestyle? Would you like to become an integrative health coach? Well, the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, or IIN as we call it, is the largest nutrition school in the country. And in 2011, I graduated from their program and became a health coach. It was completely awesome. We learned over 100 different dietary theories and talk about craziness and confusion. My wish for you is that we can lock arms and create a tribe of health coaches all around the country, all around the world to spread the keto message. If this resonates with you and you would like to look into this option deeper, please go to my blog at highenergygirl.com and click on the link to the right of the homepage. Here you can grab the curriculum guide and see if it inspires you. Since I care so much about my listeners, I negotiated the very best tuition rate for you at IIN. Either you can contact them directly and give them my name, or I will introduce you to a counselor so you can decide if this is a good fit for you and your career goals. Let me know how I can support you in this coaching career opportunity. Have you joined the Facebook group yet? I have a new Facebook group called High Energy Girls, and that is pretty much where I'm hanging out these days, and I would love to have you a part of the group. So head on over to High Energy Girls on Facebook. Hey, Heather, thanks so much for coming on the show today.
Hi, how are you?
I am fabulous. We are ready for some sunshine in California finally after 2 months of solid rain. So,
oh my goodness.
I know. Us
too.
How's Texas weather? How's Dallas?
Oh, it can't make up its mind. We've had warm weather followed by terrible storms, and then you have to pull out your winter coats again. That's just typical Texas. So we're confused right now.
You know, the worst thing, really, we have an orchard here, and what happens is when you get warm and then cold, your trees blossom, and then the rain comes, knocks the blossoms off, and then you don't end up having fruit.
Ah.
I know, crazy, right?
Like, make your mind up. Save the fruit.
I know. It's food for people. Not for me anymore. Sadly, it's funny because
I know, right?
Once I went keto, I stopped eating all that fruit, and I was like, oh my gosh. So, Heather, why don't you let the listeners know a little bit about you and how you came to the keto lifestyle?
Well, I think the universe brought me to the keto lifestyle, really. For months and months and months, I just felt really down on myself. I have always been an online entrepreneur. I'm a business and life coach for women, and I just felt a little bit of lackluster and low inspiration, and it really stemmed from, low confidence, low self-esteem. I had carried a lot of weight. I had twins the year before that, and instead of losing the weight with breastfeeding, I just gained weight and postpartum depression. So I was in a really tough spot in my life, and the synchronicities of everyone talking about keto, and then I have a really good friend on Instagram who just is a huge advocate for this way of eating. I just kept seeing keto everywhere. And I just had to learn more about it. On a whim, January 1st, I decided to go all in with this resolution. Literally, I had no idea how to get started with keto. I had seen it everywhere, but I was confused. Mm-hmm. I think that was just me. I think it was just me being afraid, buffering in my life. I could have easily cleared the confusion and just learned a little bit more, but I was afraid of change. And January 1st, I just ripped the Band-Aid off and said, well, if you don't know, you're going to figure it out on your way. And it was an interesting, almost magical experience. I started a Facebook group for my journey. I thought, okay, Heather, if you're going to really commit to this, if you're going to give this an honest try, you got to hold yourself accountable. And I was like, well, I know me. So I had to do it in like a giant, crazy way. And so I was like, I gotta really declare this, like manifesting times 100. So I created this blog Facebook group and just started documenting the things that I was experiencing. And the next thing I know, we got over 5,000 people in the group. And I was like, well, this is really interesting. Everyone's paying attention. Everyone's doing this with me. It was kind of this interesting community experience. And then more people started coming into the group. And the next thing I knew, we had almost 30,000 people in this Facebook community group with me doing keto. We're all being extremely committed and holding each other accountable. It was the most amazing experience of community that I've ever had in my life. And through that experience, I was able to lose over 50 pounds and completely embodied who I am, really.
Wow.
It was this, and crazy experience, right? Of you lose the weight and then you kind of reclaim parts of yourself. That's what happened for me.
How long did it take you to lose 50 pounds?
I'm a slow loser. I've seen success stories where people lose 50 pounds probably quicker than I did, but I would say I started, and I was really strict keto from January. I was a ketoer. There was no cheating or anything. I was all about it. And from then until I'm thinking September, I went to a wedding in September. I wore this really cute dress and I was like, wow, I'm feeling it. And that's when I gave myself the hurrah moment. It was the goal going into it. My best friend had a wedding in September and I was like, you're going to be different up there. Cause I was one of the bridesmaids. You're going to be different. You're going to feel different. Yeah. And I hit my goal and I remember celebrating that. So it took me from January until September.
That's that, and to me, I really believe in the actual journey of the destination and that you're on the right path instead of worrying about hitting the goal fast or, I think that people derail themselves because they get so stuck on not the direction that they're headed, but on reaching that destination.
Absolutely. I started recognizing that sometimes the scale wasn't always my biggest cheerleader. And so I switched my perspective of what my the real goal was. I saw, weight loss and that was really motivating. But on the other side of that, I felt more in control of my thinking than ever before. It was a huge transition. I mean, I came from postpartum depression. I had this version of life where I didn't necessarily feel that I was in control of my thoughts and how the life was unfolding in front of me. And I started recognizing, I can deliberately think again, and I can be more inspired in my business. And all of a sudden I was overcome with good feelings. And I thought, well, you know what? Regardless of what the scale says, even though comparison is the thief of joy, right? Even though I see other people doing potentially better, I understand that with weight loss, everybody gets a trophy at the end. And it was going to take whatever time it was going to take for me. But if I could hang on to the daily, I feel good affirmation, and I felt that was a bigger goal for me, is feeling good again. And when I was feeling good, I knew I was on track.
Yeah. And you just said something that I hear from everyone. The focus, the brain fog is lifted. The mental clarity is stronger. Mm-hmm. And I know that you are are you like a business life coach? Tell me about what your career is.
Yes. I would love to. Yes, I'm a business and life coach for women. Essentially, I help high achieving women reclaim their purpose again. So on the business side of it, I work with entrepreneurs to create marketing strategy, content pieces, really define their voice online. But on the other side of it, I'm a mindset coach. And I understand that in order to show up in the world and achieve your goals, you have to internally have the belief system that you're worthy and deserving. So it's two sides, marketing strategy and then, kind of spiritual mindset strategy, that together we help the person, the high achieving woman, entrepreneur, ambitious person, or somebody who maybe wants to be again, figure out what to do to get from A to Z. And so when I realized that keto was really helping me understand my own mindset, I thought, wow, there's something to this. And so I started, a lot of the people in my keto group are actually clients as well, who realized, wow, if I want to be a deliberate thinker and help manifest my dream business, it would probably really help me if I stopped eating sugar. More of a low carb approach. Oh, wow, I can be more in the moment when it comes to my business and my future. It's just been an incredible thing to bring in to my business.
Yeah, totally. And, if you don't have your health, then everything else seems to fall apart.
Yes.
Yes. There's a quote I've read. I love quotes. So there's a quote I read that so often we destroy or we waste our health to go get wealth. And then in the end, we end up spending our wealth to reclaim our health. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So we kind of need to work our way through it up in balance.
Absolutely. Because at the core of going for wealth or going for health, I don't believe that is an either or, right? You can be both. But really at the core of it all, if you're finding yourself losing weight and then gaining it all back, or getting some type of, extra in your family finances or whatever, in your job or career, and then you lose it all, essentially it boils down to one thing, and it's, am I worthy of these things in my life? And that is what I really teach on, because if you are someone who really wants to make lifestyle changes, whether for your health or your finances, you really got to think, am I the person who can have these things? Do I deserve these things? Am I worthy? And my answer is always yes, of course. Mm-hmm. But it takes some time for our beliefs to catch up with the life we want to live. And that's what I focus on. And I think that everyone should focus on. When you're embarking on a health journey, I think it's a really excellent time to invest in your emotional health.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's funny because I just got certified as a life coach, because in coaching women in health, I realized that so much of their self-derailment comes from a much deeper, thing going on in their life. And the first symptom that they do is they give up on what they want and they use food to medicate.
Absolutely. Food for me was a way for me to avoid my feelings.
Exactly.
I can absolutely imagine.
Yeah, very much. So let's get back to your keto journey. So you had twins, and how old what's the difference between your other child and your twins?
Oh gosh, not long at all. So I guess they say I have Irish twins and regular twins. Like a little triplet group. My eldest, Ethan, he will be 4 this summer. He's so cute. He's so insane. And then the twins just turned 2. Like a few weeks, year and a half.
Oh my
gosh. Ambitious. I was like, let's have 3 kids in 3 years. Can I do that?
I did 3 kids in 3 years, but it wasn't like you did it. I didn't have twins. I just had 3 kids that were each a year and a half apart. And 3 boys.
like woman's body.
Yeah, that's why I didn't go for the fourth, but I didn't have twins. Oh my gosh, I always wanted twins though. That is so cool. Now, did you gain a lot of weight with that pregnancy?
Oh, yes, it was actually a really traumatic pregnancy. I gained a lot of weight, but the hardest part is I had to live in the hospital for the last 6 weeks before they were born. So not only was I bed rest in the hospital weighing, it's like, it's hard to say, like, how much did I really weigh? Because they weren't even getting me out of the bed. They were using this, like, really interesting new technology of weighing me in the bed. And I was like, okay, this is a really great way for me to not know how much I weigh. Because they don't even have the little reading dial next to you. I'm like, oh, so I'll just lay here. They'll tell me. But I gained a lot of weight, and it was a really crazy, life-threatening experience. Probably one of the more traumatic things I think I've gone through, when you think you're going to have a healthy pregnancy like the one before, and now you're in new waters of being a twin mom, and then health complications when it comes to identical twins. So it was a really interesting experience. And yeah, I gained a lot of weight as a result,
Well, what a blessing that they are healthy, and, and there's a special place in heaven for a mother of 3 boys,
I always call myself the Queen of Kings.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. I love that. I've never heard it. That's awesome.
It's my Game of Thrones title. I'm Heather Huff, first of her name, Queen of Kings. I'm so excited for Game of Thrones. I'll just plug that really fast.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. My boys are like binge watching the whole entire thing again so that they can, be all like remembering everything as if they forget. That is hilarious.
It's a must.
Oh yeah, my boys are so into all of that. That's hilarious. They have, like, my middle son bought my youngest son Jon Snow's sword for Christmas.
That's a really good gift.
Isn't that funny? Okay, so let's get back to your keto. See, I love rabbit trails because I want to really get to know you and, like, just, dive into your world. And so you got on keto, and you said you were a slow loser. Okay. Is that because you think your metabolism is slow, or is that because you were kind of in and out of keto? Or tell me what you think that was all about. Just to inspire other people when they're slow losers that it's okay. It doesn't, just keep moving forward.
Yeah. Well, I realized that this way of eating is a very personal, it can be, there's, from the outside looking in, it can seem like there's just one way to do keto, but there's so many different ways to do keto, and it can be personalized for you. And when I first started my keto journey, I was kind of looking out to see how other people were doing it and following, various recipes. And I started to realize that I really needed to put on my scientific hat a little bit. And I think that's why I love tracking. I love macros, because whenever you are stalled, whenever you're like, I don't know if I'm doing this right, you can just take it back to tracking. And that's what I really teach my clients who are interested in a ketogenic way of eating. If you feel like it's not working right, just take it back to the drawing board. Take it back to tracking, to really looking closely at your macros, seeing what works for you. And maybe you can find some hidden carbs there that you didn't know before if you really look at the ingredients. And for me, I recognized that I was probably not eating the correct portions of a lot of things. So at the very beginning, when I realized I'm probably doing this a little bit slower, nuts were kind of a thing for me, and nut flours. They were slowing down my progress. I have kind of happy hand when it comes to the almonds.
Oh my God, me too.
It's so easy. It's so easy, especially like if we come from like the chip snacking world. I love to crunch. So I recognize I need to be a little bit more, just considerate of portion sizes with nuts and like nut flours. And then berries as well. Those were some things that really slowed me down. Obviously, when I get stressed, I don't drink enough water. So there were things that I could do, and I took on this attitude of, I'm always doing the best that I can with what I know right now. And if I learn something new that helps me tomorrow, then I'm going to adopt this. And I'm just going to make this work for me, and understanding that there's a lot of ways that a lot of people are successful, and I will find my personal route.
Yeah. Yeah. And people have food sensitivities that they don't even realize.
Yes, dairy.
Yeah. Or it could be dairy. It could be nuts. Eggs can be, they're a really high trigger. Mm-hmm. So, and people don't realize that. And like you said, it's only tracking and noticing what is going to happen, that you can actually identify what it is that's setting you back a little bit. Would you agree?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I mean, and I think that some people, like, I love this quote I heard from Louise from Keto Gains, is that, oh shoot, now I forgot it. It's something about that cannot be measured, cannot be tracked or whatever, meaning that if you can't determine what's working for you or not. So now, did you do net carbs or did you do total carbs?
I did. Well, I started off with total carbs because when I first started the keto experience, there was a lot of information I didn't know. And so net carbs versus total carbs wasn't information that I even learned until a few weeks in. So that's why I always say, if you want to start keto, start where you are. Uh-huh. Grow from there. Because I started with total carbs because I didn't even know about net carbs.
Yeah.
And I was just really basic. Just, am I in ketosis? Testing for ketones. I'm eating things that I know that are approved ingredients. And tracking was a new experience for me. I remember when I first turned the label around on something I wanted to eat, being like, what in the world? I didn't come from healthy eating. So the whole experience of shifting my mindset about what nutrition means to me was a complete 180. I remember looking at the box being like, I don't know what this means, but I do know that this is the word carbs and this is the information next to it. So total carbs was what I stuck with in the beginning. A few weeks in, I started realizing, I was like, oh, if I want to eat avocados, I should probably be tracking net carbs.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because the avocados, I mean, I am like you, like I have polished off, 3/4 of a bag of macadamia nuts before I realized it was there. So I just do not do the nuts because those carbs add up really, really, really quick. But avocado and veggie carbs, that's like pretty much my favorite.
Oh, me too. And tracking that fiber.
I know. Great. And fiber has a place, right? It's supposed to be like your fertilizer for your microbiome.
Absolutely.
So that's really good. What about movement? Did you work out during that time?
So yes and no. I have an iWatch, so I know that I was getting my steps in. But when I first started keto, I was a full-time stay-at-home mom to all 3 of these little boys. And I thought I was going through a lot of mindset shifts. So before I did keto, I didn't even know that I had enough time to prepare healthy foods. So the first shift I had to make when I was doing this whole thing is I actually do have enough time. There's plenty of time. I can make the time if it's something that is important to me. So where my new time went is preparing meals, and then I was chasing after the kids. So it wasn't until maybe 4 or 5 months into it did I start intentionally working out, because that was the second shift I needed to make. Was I have enough time to prepare meals and the rest of my day is going accordingly. The next thing is I can budget time to work out. But in the beginning, I did count my taking care of crazy kids as my exercise for the day, which is actually extremely exhausting.
Oh gosh, I remember. But it was like the best time of my life. So I hope you love it too.
I do love it.
Last night we were out to dinner and there was this mom there and mom and dad, and they had 3 little boys, and my mother-in-law was like, do you remember those days? You know, and I'm like, oh my gosh,
Like,
I
nope,
just love them.
Yes, I love them too. I'm just in it, you know. I think that it might be interesting what it would be like to be the mom of children who could make their own breakfast. Definitely on days like today where daylight savings time is like tripping me up. I wondered to myself what it would be like to make their own breakfast.
Okay, so you're going to die. My middle son is
like
home. He's 23. He texted me while I was talking to you, and he just texted me, breakfast? ? He's 23.
No way.
I swear. And then yesterday morning, I was in the kitchen, and my youngest from his bedroom, he's 20. Gosh, how old is he? 22. He says, can I have breakfast? Because, like, isn't that funny? So, girl, your day is going to be long. They're going to always want you. It tastes better, you know.
So funny. Because they'll come up to me with the food that they want to eat. And I'm like, your dad is literally right next to you, but you came into the other room to find me here. So, yeah. Foreshadowing, I guess.
Yeah, because boys have a special place in their heart for their moms, you know.
I get all the kisses and huggies.
Yeah, and you'll love it. I mean, I know that the work is hard now, but like my oldest son lives in New York. He calls me every morning around 6:30 or 6:45. And, you know, my middle one calls me every day after work. My youngest still lives at home, so he tries to avoid me most of the time. But, you know, that work you're doing now, it will pay off in, you know, a lot later on down the road. So
I believe it.
You were losing weight without exercising. So that's something I want people to understand, that, you know, if that's their goal, if their goal is to lose weight, then they can still do that without exercising. What other health benefits did you experience?
Oh, man. Well, mental clarity was a huge thing for me. More energy. We were just talking about my kids. I was really thinking about it. I'm like, yeah, this is a time of my life where I really need a lot of energy. And I wouldn't have been able to be that parent who handled the craziness of my life at the time. Babies, 2 of them, toddler, crazy guy.
Yeah.
I don't think I could have managed this unless I felt better and had more energy so I could be a more active parent. Really, I think that was the biggest benefit from this whole thing.
Yeah, the energy. I agree, because you're not doing those crash and burns in the middle of the afternoon or, you know, mid-morning. Oh, yeah.
I felt just alive. When I'm in ketosis, I feel like I just have next level energy and inspiration. I feel like a little more motivated, in flow. I am a mindset manifestation teacher, and I'm like, when I want to really feel that creative juice in my business and with my kids and in my life, like ketosis just boosts me in all those fronts.
Yeah. Oh yeah, totally. And you know, it's crazy because that's something that we notice because we're fairly healthy, right? Is the mindfulness and the better mental clarity. But think about people that have like Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson's, traumatic brain injury, epilepsy, all of those neurological conditions, including depression, you know, all of that stuff, how they notice a big boost as well.
Absolutely. It was an amazing experience of reclaiming my mind and then being like, now that I can be an intentional thinker again, you know, what thoughts are serving me? What things are coming through my mind that maybe aren't serving me? Because I understand with manifesting anything, with being intentional and mindful, is your thoughts create, they expand. And when I really honed in on my mental clarity, I got to really take pause of, oh, this is what I've been thinking. These are some of the negative things I've been saying to myself. And I really need to create a new plan, a new set of beliefs, a new set of daily thoughts so that I can be more empowered.
Oh.
And just that recognizing of my thoughts, it changed so much. I could create again. It was a really wonderful experience.
Oh, Heather, I love what you just said. That is the key to success is, working on those thoughts. Okay, gosh, I have so many questions for you. Okay, so, well, I have a lot of questions about like your keto journey, but I also have some questions about what you do to help people. Fasting, do you do any fasting?
It depends. I do, and then I don't. Intermittent fasting really works for me. And so I know that if I want to get in the headspace to be creative in my business, fasting is a wonderful, wonderful way for me to feel like I'm really channeling intuition. So intermittent fasting is actually really easy to implement in your life, which I'm sure you know. I would just stop eating earlier in the night and then forego breakfast, just drink water to get my energy up in the morning, and then I wouldn't eat until noon. I do that sometimes, but for the most part, I just bulletproof coffee, lunch, dinner, easy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I finally did a 3-day fast, which I've never done before, and I went, the full 72 hours, and honestly, it was a lot easier than I thought. It was shocking.
Did you stay busy?
I'm always busy. I mean, I have a full-time job and a full-time business, so I'm always busy.
And
but
breakfast for your kids.
What?
And breakfast for your kids.
Oh, I know. Geez. That's hilarious. But I make the best omelets ever, I have to tell you.
I'm coming over.
Yeah, I finally perfected it, so that's why they want me to do it. Otherwise, there's like 5 spatulas in the pan, It's pretty funny.
Oh, yes. Boy messes.
So I saw that you do some sort of energy work. I saw that, I can't remember exactly what I remember reading, but it was something about working with energy. Can you explain that a little bit more?
Absolutely. So we are energy bodies, right? We produce a frequency. Our thoughts create our lives. And the energy work I do, it's really to help somebody really take an inventory of the thoughts and beliefs and feelings that are guiding them every single day. And then through meditation, through an intentional practice, we work together to create the energy so that you can show up in your life. It's not like magic or like witchcraft, although I do think that's really cool. It's more just like mental energy, physical energy. So, right, if you need more energy to just show up and to be a creator and feel inspired, we would really look at all of the things that encompass your wellness, your relationships, your income, your body, and figure out ways to get those channels of abundance flowing in your life. And through that, you will absolutely have the energy, metaphysically, physically, to show up and become who you need to be and manifest the things you need.
Absolutely. I'm studying energy, and I do like Qigong. I'm learning Tai Chi. I find it very difficult to memorize all the moves, but I'm learning about that because those are ways to manifest energy. I used to do meditation, but now I do Qigong instead because it's like almost like a moving meditation that actually gathers energy into your body. And so I love the whole manifestation of your thoughts and your, the cause set in motion. Like you're familiar with that term, right?
Yes.
So that's like probably part of your life coaching stuff is, and then the abundance mindset, so that your subconscious mind, and that has to do with, your keto journey too. Can you explain how you take all of the knowledge that you've, gathered over the years in your business and in your coaching, and you applied it to yourself with your keto goals?
Oh yeah. This was probably the biggest self-coaching experience that I've ever had. You know, I have all these teachings and philosophies and, you know, dive into certain concepts of how we can show up in our lives and manifest our goals, right? And I had implemented these types of practices with my business and in some aspects with my marriage and my relationships in my life. But I had never really dived into my health. You know, if I have all of these like ideas about ways to show up in these areas of your life, I felt kind of, you know, challenged in how can I make these work for my health? Because at the very beginning of this interview, I said, you know, my confidence and lack thereof was a huge proponent of me not really making the waves that I wanted to in my business. And so I said, you know, if this is what I believe, your thoughts create your feelings and your self-identity. And through your self-identity, you can be a badass business owner.
Yeah.
You know, you can do all the things. You know, I was creating these identities and beliefs about that. And I was like, you know, my health and the way I feel about myself, that it's like this. I can say things like I'm a successful coach, and that can be my belief. But on the inside, if my other belief about myself is I'm not worthy, or why does it even matter? You know, low self-esteem, those types of affirmations compete against each other.
Mm-hmm.
And will confuse you, and it will confuse the universe, and it will be hard for you to really do the things that you need to do, because on the inside, your internal belief system of who you are, you know, you might not like that person. You might not feel good about who you think you are. And therefore, it's going to be hard for you to be in alignment with these new beliefs that you're bringing in, unless you really take a good look at the beliefs that you're brought into your life, maybe from childhood, maybe from a poor experience in young adulthood or a traumatic experience, you know, kind of figure out what's going on there. And so
absolutely,
with my health, yeah.
Those actually, you know what I've learned recently, because I'm working with this Chinese medicine doctor, and he's amazing. And he says that there's traumas that happen generations before you that literally translate into your DNA. And that's kind of the stuff that he helps people clear, is those past traumas, even if it happened to you. But how for some, I don't even understand all this. Okay, this is like way above my head. But I mean, it makes a little bit of sense to me. And the more I dive into all of it, the more interesting it becomes. But there are reasons that people give up on themselves before they reach their goals. And don't you think it happens more often than not?
Absolutely. And what you were saying with like the generations of people, you know, a lot of things that I learned about myself in regards to my health and what food meant to me, I've learned from watching my mommy, and what she learned about what food means to her and what her identity of herself was. You know, there's a lot, and it goes back to her mom. And so when I was really working on healing these experiences that I've had, I had to look at my relationships with my family, and I had to look at my mom, her mom, and just kind of honor where I had come and the things that have led me here. I realized I was born to imperfect people, and they experienced life, and it was aiding me and teaching me the lessons that I needed to know. I needed to honor that. I needed to forgive myself, forgive her. And through that, it helped me to find who I was at the dinner table again. I don't have to emotionally eat. I don't have to cope and use food as a way of non-feeling or a way of positive or negative rewards based on what's going on. I had to really understand what I had learned before I had no choices of what to believe. And then shatter those. Sometimes it took work, and I had to revisit certain things multiple times to really heal, or sometimes just get neutral to what I had experienced. And that shift allowed me to have open eyes at the dinner table and figure out what food meant for me.
And that molded you to be the amazing woman you are today.
I'm a work in progress.
We all are, girl. We all are. And I think that like two things you said that spoke to me just now is that they're imperfect. And we are all, like one of my coaches and mentors says, we are perfectly imperfect. Mm-hmm. You know, and we do the best that we know how at the moment.
Absolutely.
So that we don't, you know, gosh, it's like fun talking to you. I feel like that we speak the same language. You know what I mean?
We do. We're interested in the same thing.
Yeah.
Helping
yeah.
us.
That's awesome. I love what you've been saying. So tell me something else. Okay, getting back to your keto, what is your typical day of your favorite food? So I know you said you like to start off the day with your bulletproof coffee. And then what?
Yes. So I will say it right now. I don't like cooking. And I admit that. And at first, when I became a big blogger in the keto space and my group grew, I thought, do I have to identify as someone who enjoys cooking? I took a mental inventory of what that experience meant for me. And I said, you know what? Nope. I don't like to cook. I like it when my husband cooks. That's more fun. But for me, I keep keto extremely simple because I don't want to, it's like the Marie Kondo. Cooking does not bring me joy. So my meals are very, very easy to create. So breakfast, you know, I do a probably fattier bulletproof coffee. It's really rich, and I know the macros necessary to keep me from non-snacking and full and satisfied until lunchtime, because I have a lot of work to do. I'm typing on the computer and I don't want to be distracted. So lunchtime, it's very much I like to keep it simple. I might get a rotisserie chicken, dissemble that, get some bacon, cheese, maybe make a really fast salad, and that'll keep me over. And then dinner, salmon, broccoli, cheese sauce, all the things that I love. But I really like a whole foods perspective on it. I don't go for the casseroles very often. I'm like, it's a lot of work. And then I think it wasn't until maybe this past December, so almost a full 12 months keto, before I even made a fat bomb.
Yeah, I think we as people need to change our palate. And when I would make fat bombs, I tended to want like, oh, that was good, I want another one. Oh, that was good, I want one more. And so those to me are kind of like a mine. The only treats I have like regularly in my fridge are just coconut manna that's melted down and poured into like a little candy mold. Have you tried those?
That was what I was going to say. I was like, I don't eat fat bombs because I'll just get the coconut one and buy the spoonful. It's so good.
Oh, yeah. Well, I just melt it down because you know how it separates in the jar? So you get the oil on the top and then the actual meat at the bottom, right? So yes. I put it in a double boiler. What?
Oh, you double boil it?
Yeah, just put it in a double boiler, melt it all down, and then I mix it like with my beaters, you know, and then pour it in like little molds and put it in the freezer.
Ooh, that's a great idea because those are delicious. Coconut manna is so good.
Yeah, and it's so nutritious because it's just one ingredient, and it's something that because there's nothing artificial sweetener added to it, to me it doesn't set off that like, oh, I need something sweet more. I need more sweets trigger.
Oh, absolutely. Because really, when it comes to desserts in general, you have to ask yourself the question, do I need this because my body is craving it for like nutritional purposes? Or am I eating this because this is a habit, a tradition for me? I put the kids to bed. It's 8:30. I feel like I need to reward myself. Is this because I need the dessert? or is this something that I need to relearn about myself? How else can I reward myself in those situations? So that was a big switch for me, coming from, the sugary dessert, and then in doing my keto challenge of, I really need to lose the weight. I really want to stay focused. I really want to change my life. And at the beginning of it, I realized, okay, desserts for me didn't mean, I was lacking in maybe magnesium or anything. It wasn't one of those things. It was, this is just a way I self-soothe and I reward myself with desserts. And so I needed to switch that. And that's why I didn't really bring in fat bombs or the mug cakes, which I love now, but I didn't bring those in until the end, because I said, I really need to relearn some things about myself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's actually smart, because then you're actually being more mindful. And I find that people, including myself, and mostly in the past, but we eat for reasons other than true hunger.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Absolutely.
like you're stressed or you're bored or you're, tired or whatever. So, and it's fun to actually look introspectively. And that's what I think one thing fasting is good for, is it because actually help you become more self-aware of why you're grabbing food, And
Absolutely.
being mindful. Like, one habit I think is really important for people is to sit down and enjoy your food instead of standing.
Oh yeah. Like, be in the experience, listen to your body instead of being distracted.
Yeah, totally. Awesome. Well, you know what, girl? Yeah. And it's all on, to me, the faster or the slower you go and apply these so that all this work can be a healthy habit for you, then the lasting lifestyle change will appear, instead of you white knuckling through this quick fix that's only temporary, because then you're not going to achieve that lifetime change.
Absolutely. I believe that just trying to change the actions in your life is the wrong approach to creating lasting change. So your actions are one of the last things that happen for you. First, you think something, and then you feel that thought, and then your feelings drive your actions. And so just trying to change my lifestyle from that approach meant that I wasn't doing the real work of, how can I change my thoughts about this? And when I can change my thoughts about anything, I can change my life about that. And that's how I've been able to keep the weight off. Looked at this as not a diet, it's more of a lifestyle change,
Mm-hmm.
because I changed my thoughts about myself and my thoughts about what I was deserving of. I'm deserving of the body that makes me feel good about myself. And that was the biggest shift, revelation, lesson that I've learned from the entire experience. Is at the core of it, I'm deserving of what I want. And I think that that's kind of what keeps people from changing their lives, is
Mm-hmm.
they don't feel deserving or worthy of it. And that's why I show up every day to do my job, so I can help people believe in themselves and all of the things that follow.
I am so happy to hear you say that. That is just so sweet. And so many people give up and they just think, well, this is the way it's going to be for the rest of my life now. And they do deserve more, and they do deserve to, and they can change. Like, you can completely transform the direction that you're headed once you decide that you're ready to do that and not give up on what you want.
Absolutely. I think change is great. I think that's why we're here, to grow and evolve and have a really fun, joyful human experience. And change isn't I'm becoming someone that I'm not, it's I'm becoming who I really am. That's what change means to me.
Ooh, gosh, you have so many one-liners I'm stealing. That one especially, that one. I am becoming who I really am. Oh my gosh. Okay, that was profound advice. Love it. So, yes. Heather, so I have two more questions for you. What advice would you give someone just starting out on the keto lifestyle?
Start where you are. Start where you are. Even if you feel like you don't know everything, you don't need to. You absolutely don't need to. And just, start where you are. I recognize for me that if I put a lot of things in front of me beginning, I was going to be doing a lot of things like that were potentially going to keep me from ever doing this. I didn't need to be an expert. I didn't need to be some, well-crafted chef in the kitchen. I didn't, there's so many things that I didn't need to do. That would stop me from just eating eggs and bacon for a day until I looked online and figured it out, So just start where you are and you'll learn as you go. And don't buffer. Buffering is waste of time, and you could just clear your confusion and go online and learn as you experience it.
Okay, explain that term, buffer. What do you mean, don't buffer?
Buffer. Oh man, buffer is, that when your computer is thinking and you get the little wheel of death as you're waiting for your internet and your browser to catch up.
Oh.
That is what I feel buffering is, but on a mental aspect of it is, I feel like we think and spin our wheels on things, and just that worrying about something that hasn't even happened yet keeps us from taking action. And so for me, confusion of how do I begin keto was me buffering.
Oh, okay.
I could seek clarity on it. I could clear away any confusion I had if I was ready to take action. But being confused was something I could put in front of myself to keep me comfortable,
Uh-huh. That makes total sense. I love I can just visualize that little spinning rainbow circle thingy that, annoys the heck out of us.
Absolutely. See, we like feeling comfortable. We like the fears and the demons we know, right? So we don't want to take action. We're scared. And we worry about what could potentially happen if we did take action, right? But not taking action is actually the only bad thing that could happen. So you don't need to be an expert. You don't need to have it all figured out. So just go. That's my biggest advice.
Awesome. And then how can people find you?
Hey, yes. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram. I have a Facebook page. You can go and follow my journey. I talk about business, life, and low carb. I also keep it funny, and it's on www.facebook.com/XO Heather Huff, and then also XO Heather Huff on Instagram.
And I will have I'll have the links on the show notes page.
Awesome. Yes. And if you love low carb, you're a keto dieter, which I'm obviously, if you're listening to this, you are. I have a community group too, Keto Body and Soul. And it's just a really relaxed group, no judgment in there. So it's an empowerment group. I love all types of keto. As long as you're working to improve your life, I'm here to help you improve your mindset about it. So come join us. No judgment. We like real, authentic people in the group, and it's a really wonderful community if you're looking for one.
Yes, for sure. It's good to see women that support each other and hold each other up. So that's awesome that you're doing that work. And plus, with your experience as a life coach, I think that you're able to give people a little bit more than a lot of other places. So that's really good.
Hey, I appreciate that.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you. And thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing your journey and your loads and loads of awesome, just life wisdom. I really enjoyed talking with you, girl.
Hey, me too. This was a great experience. I really appreciate you having me on.
Awesome. Oh my gosh, I hope you got all those pearls of wisdom like I did. I felt like I could so resonate with everything she was saying, and it was so awesome to steal all of those amazing quotes for my quote wall. So I hope you enjoyed our conversation and you learned a bunch from Heather. For complete show notes and all the links, you can go and check out our group on Facebook and check out what she's all about. If you're a female entrepreneur, I would head on over to the show notes page at bewellbeketo.com. Go out and make it a great day, you guys. This podcast contains the opinion and thoughts of its host and guests. It is intended to provide helpful and informative material on the subjects covered. All statements made on the podcast have not been evaluated by the FDA and are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent disease. If the listener requires professional assistance or advice, please contact your personal medical doctor. Both host and guest specifically disclaim any responsibility for any liability, loss, or risk, personal or otherwise, which is incurred as a consequence directly or indirectly of the use and application of any of the contents of these episodes. Like I said, this is my opinion and I could be wrong.